Welcome, fifth graders, to your April book talk. This month I've decided to just grab some random different varieties of books just to give you something a little different to choose from. So there's a little bit of all kinds of stuff in the collection this month. The first book I'm going to share with you is called Scumble. It's by Ingrid Law, and this is a little bit about Scumble. The jerk Hale always dreamed of being an awesome magical power he'd get when he turned 13, the day when his folks and his family inherited an extraordinary talent called Savvy. But Ledge's dreams are soon in pieces, and so are the toaster, the television, and the wipers on the family minivan. He has to decide if it's safe to head to a family wedding. So many things going on in Ledger's life. This book is an AR of a 5.6, worth 10 points. Scumble. Runt is the next book by Maren Bauer. Raven scuttled around. The speechless pup examined him for every side. "You're small, aren't you?" he said at last. Smaller than all the rest, but still he tipped his head to one side, considering. Small can be brave, fierce. Why, I've seen a pair of wrens chasing a crow the length of the sky, and the small red squirrel often puts a larger gray to shame. Brave? Fierce? Runt hardly knew the meaning of these words. He liked their sound, though. This book is a 4.8 book level, worth 3 points. Runt. This is the first book in this series. It is the Wolves and Beyond series. This is book 1 called Lone Wolf, and it is by Catherine Lasky. The owl war is over. The wolf pack awaits. Introducing a stirring new series by Catherine Lasky, who is the author of The Guardians of Ga'Hoole. In the harsh wilderness beyond the owl world of Ga'Hoole, a wolf mother hides in fear. Her newborn pup, otherwise healthy, has a twisted paw. The mother knows the rigid rules of her kind. The pack cannot have weakness. Her pup must be abandoned at an icy riverbank, condemned to die. But alone in the forest, the pup, Fallon, does the unthinkable. He survives. This is Fallon's story. This book has an AR of a 6.2 level, worth 7 points. And that is Lone Wolf, the first book in the Wolves and Beyond series. Bat at the End of Everything is written by Alana Arnold. Bixby Alexander Tam, nicknamed Bat, has been the caretaker for Thor, the best skunk kit in the world. But the last day of 3rd grade is quickly approaching. Thor is almost ready to be released into the wild. The end of school also means that Bat has to say goodbye to his favorite teacher, and he worries about the summer care of Baby Cakes, their adorable class pet. Not only that, but his best friend is leaving for a long vacation in Canada. This book is a 4.7 reading level, worth 3 points. Bat, The End of Everything. The Clue of the Linoleum Lederhosen by M.T. Anderson. The harsh sound of gunfire echoed again across the glacier. Crouched in a crevice, Lily, Jasper, and Katie ducked low. If they didn't get that Aztec amulet back to the city of Pewter, the whole continent could sink. Lily shivered just thinking about it. "Who's shooting at us?" she asked. Jasper reached up, plucked one of the bullets out of the ice, and examined it. "Snow leopards," he pronounced gravely, "and they're getting closer." This is a spine-tingling mystery, nail-biting suspense, gut-wrenching sobs of relief. This is a 4.8 book level, worth 5 points. The Clue of the Linoleum Lederhosen. Keeper is by Kathleen Applett. Blue moon, magic moon, good for wishing. Keeper, this moon is her chance to fix all that is gone and so much that's gone wrong. But she knows who can make things right again. Maggie Marie, her mermaid mother who swam away from Keeper when she was just 3. A blue moon calls the mermaids to gather at the sandbar, and that's exactly where Keeper is headed. In a small boat in the middle of the night with only her dog, BD, best dog, and a seagull named Captain. When the riptide pulls at the boat, tugging her away from the shore and deep into the rough waters of the Gulf of Mexico, panic sets in, and the fairy tales that lured her out there go tumbling into the waves. Maybe the blue moon isn't magic. Maybe the sandbar won't sparkle with mermaids, and maybe, oh no, maybe is just too difficult to hear. This book is an AR level of a five, worth 8 points. Keeper. Our Teacher is a Vampire and Other Not True Stories by Mary Amato. Greetings, Carly. Like I said, the secret is huge. Okay, I'll tell you. Mrs. Penrose is a vampire. You'll never guess who her victim is going to be. Our librarian, Ms. Yang, I think will be the first students to have a vampire for a teacher. My idea is to write the whole story as it happens in this book. So Our Teacher is a Vampire and Other Not True Stories is an AR level of 4.1, worth 4 points. Out to Get You, 13 Tales of Weirdness and Woe by Josh Ellen. Tasty, bite-sized bizarreness for brave preteens. You know those books that you can't put down because you absolutely have to know what happens next? This is one of them. Out to Get You is wonderful and weird, compelling and unsettling, happy and appalling. It plays with some of our deepest desires and suggests that creepy things might happen if those are fulfilled or even just spoken. These stories are scary because they are so very true. This book is a 4-point book level worth 5 points. Out to Get You. Spy Force is Mission in Search of the Time and Space Machine by Deborah Abella. Make room, James Bond. Max Remy is a 11-year-old super spy ready for action. Max may look like your typical kid, but she isn't. In truth, she's a world-class super spy involved in dangerous missions with the International Agency's Spy Force. When Max's mother sends her off to visit Aunt Eleanor and Uncle Ben for summer vacation, Max and her friend Lyndon encounter a time and space machine that can carry them anywhere in the world. Dare they test their fate? Spy Force is a AR level of a 5.1, worth 5 points. This next book is called All Impossible Things. It's by Lindsay Lackey. The Grooves are very kind people, Mrs. Anders said. Red said nothing. You'll like them. Red said nothing. They'll be a good fit, you'll see. A good fit. Impossible. Nobody could be a good fit. Nobody except her mother. Red felt the pulse of wind in her heart. 397 days, she reminded herself. 397 days until Red would be a good fit. This book, The Impossible Things, has a level of a 4.3, worth 10 points. The Land of Stories. This is Queen Red Riding Hood's Guide to Royalty. And this is by a very popular author by the name of Chris Colfer. You might recognize Chris Colfer from a very popular TV series. Okay, this book is a 6.4 level, worth 2 points. Dearest reader, we presume you have acquired this magnificent guide because you are either royal or might be one day become royal after narrowly escaping the death of a wolf. Read the pages within for boundless wisdom regarding royal style and advice on how to handle one's subjects. Remember, peasants are like pets. We wish you a long and successful reign, provided you are not an enemy of our kingdom. Queen Red Riding Hood. And that was The Land of Stories. The next book, Little League, Play Ball by Matt Christopher. Carter Jones had worked far too hard to let a little sweat and noise distract him from winning the most important game of his baseball career. The most important game so far, he amended to himself. Carter twirled the baseball behind his back. Then he went into his windup, reared back, and threw. The ball flew on a line, and the batter swung. The journey to the Little League baseball world begins. Little League play ball. A 4.6 level worth 5 points. This next book is called Alex and the Iconic Gentleman. It's written by Adrian Kress. I read Alex and the Ironic Gentleman. To be honest, it had me at the title, a clever one. To live up to the end of the story did not disappoint. It's quirky, hilarious, and genuinely exhilarating. There is a nod to Lewis Carroll and a wink to Charles Dickens, but no more than that. Adrian's words are packed with originality. Alex is a wonderful hero who deserves to return for further adventures. Indeed, I suspect there will be a riot if she does. Great plot, larger-than-life characters. The future is bright. And that came from the author Ian Colfer. So, again, it's a 5.8 book level worth 12 points. Princess Disgrace, A Royal Disaster, is by Lou Knusler. Rules for being a princess. 1. Your name must be on the fairy godmother's list. 2. You must always be elegant and graceful. And 3. A unicorn must choose you. When Grace arrives at Tall Towers Princess Academy, her name is not on the fairy godmother's list of students. She isn't elegant at all. Not even her curtsy is graceful. And all the other girls are sure she's headed straight back to her tiny, messy kingdom. But one unicorn knows better. He's clumsy and dirty and the perfect match for Grace, and together they have tons of fun. But the other princesses still aren't convinced Grace belongs at the academy. Can she prove to be a princess and is more than just being perfect? This book is a 5-point level, and it's worth 4 points. Dead Time Stories, Grandpa's Monster Movies by Annette and Gina Casson. Run away! They heard the rustle of cornstalks. Someone was heading toward them, but CT couldn't figure out which direction. They had to know that before they started running. CT wanted to make sure that they were running away from the drooling stalkers and not toward them. Leah pointed to the right. CT listened for another moment and decided she was right. He grabbed her hand and started running to the left. But as they ran, whoever was chasing them began moving more quickly. CT heard the stalks crack and pulled Leah along even faster. But he knew they weren't going to get away this time. Their pursuer was gaining on them with lightning speed. Dead Time Stories, Grandpa's Monster Movies, is a AR level of 4.2, worth 3 points. The Land of Elan, Book 1, The Dark Hills of Divide by Patrick Carman. What lies beyond the walls? Alexa Daly is spending another summer in Bridewell with her father. She looks forward to exploring the old lodge where she stays each year, with its cozy library and maze of passages and rooms. She's also eager to finally solve the mystery of what lies beyond the immense walls that were built to keep out an unnamed devil that lurks in the forests and the dark hills, and an evil the townspeople are still afraid of. As Alexa begins to unravel the truth about what lies outside the protective barrier she lived behind all of her life, she discovers a strange and ancient enchantment. Armed with an unexpected new power, Alexa exposes a danger that could destroy everything she holds dear and change the land of Elan forever. The Dark Hills Divided is a book level of a 6.1, worth 10 points. Shelby's Story, A Long Way Home Tale, is by Bruce Cameron. From rescue dog to movie star, Shelby doesn't remember much of her early life, only that she always is hungry and cold. Then one day Shelby is rescued by a kind woman and everything changes forever. She soon finds herself on a movie set and her new life is filled with challenges and rewards. She learns things like go, mark, cut, dig. She rewards her include squeaky toys, yummy chicken, and best of all, love and affection from castmates and crew. Everyone loves Shelby. Shelby's story is inspired by W. Bruce Cameron's real-life experiences with Shelby, a rescue dog from a shelter. This book is a 4.3 level, worth 5 points. Avantia, the First Hero by Adam Blade. Fire Pose had been a patient trainer. Tanner wasn't sure what he was being trained for, and when he tried to ask, his beast would close her eyes and wait for the questions to cease. For a long while, he hadn't been sure if Fire Pose understood him until he realized that she could read his thoughts. He learned how to hold on to the beast's back during her steepest dives, how to live on a mountainside without dying of exposure, and where to bunt into the most barren places. He was no longer skinny who'd watched his father die. He was stronger now in body and spirit. Fire Pose had taught him how to survive. So this first book is a 5.1 reading level and worth 4 points. Dorko the Magnificent by Andrea Beatty. Dorko is a magician, an old school pull rabbit out of your hat type of magician. In Robert's case, sometimes a rabbit escaped instead, causing mass panic. But what's a young magician to do? Quit? Definitely not. Or at least a big splash at the elementary talent show. Robbie's determined to show the world, especially his overworked, distracted mom, that he's a true star. But based on last year's talent show, he's definitely going to need some help. AR level of 4.6, worth 5 points. Gilda Joyce, Psychic Investigator, The Bones of Holly by Jennifer Allison. When Gilda Joyce's mother gets engaged to a man from St. Augustine, Florida, Gilda is appalled. Sure, a Southern Belle wedding would be fun to organize, but Gilda hasn't even given him the Joyce family application yet. On the bright side, spooky St. Augustine is full of ghost stories to unravel. But soon the city's mysteries come too close to home. Why does Gilda's soon-to-be stepdad keep calling her mom by his ex-fiance's name? And why is Ms. Joyce acting as if she's possessed? With only a few short days before her mother says I do, Gilda knows this much for sure. It's gonna take every ounce of her sleuthing skills and psychic savvy to solve this one. This is a 6 AR level worth 9 points. Bones of Holly. A House Called Awful End, Book 1. This is by Philip Ardell. When both Eddie's parents catch a disease that makes them turn yellow, go a bit crinkly around the edges, and smell of old hot water bottles, it's agreed he should go and stay with relatives at their house. Awful end. Unfortunately for Eddie, those relatives are Mad Uncle Jack and even madder Aunt Maud. This book is a 6.3 reading level worth 4 points. The House Called Awful End. The Attack of the Fluffy Bunnies by Andrea Beatty. Evil bunnies from outer space, attack Earth! What would you do if evil, sugar-addicted, 7-foot-tall rabbits from another galaxy invaded your summer camp? A. Scream. B. Hide your candy. C. Say there's no such thing as evil, sugar-addicted, 7-foot-tall rabbits from another galaxy. If you are twins Kevin and Jules Rockman, you use what you have learned from watching the late creepy show from Ms. Maddox to warn your fellow campers. And when that falls, you come up with plan A, and then plan B, and then plan C. Whatever you do, you don't act like an annoying movie character number 1, because annoying movie character number 1 is usually the first to leave the movie, which is a nice way of saying kick the bucket, which is a nice way of saying, you know. Attack of the Fluffy Bunnies is a 5.1 reading level worth 4 points. Lions and Liars. And this book is by Kate Beasley. Frederick Friederson has a good chain of theory about life. There are lions like Devin, the school bully, and gazelles like the kids Devin's bullies, and then there's meerkats, and then there are the fleas that live on the butts of meerkats. That's Frederick. He's a flea. 5th grade is already off to a terrible start when a boating mishap maroons Frederick for a weekend disciplinary camp for troublesome boys. His followed troopmates, Nosebleed Speece, and the professor, and little yet lethal Aunt Bite are far from welcoming, and no one seems to be telling the truth about what they did and to land themselves at camp. Oh my gosh. But between terrifying trust-building exercises and midnight escape attempts, a tenuous friendship grows among them, which is lucky because Category 5 hurricane is heading their way, and everyone will have to work together, lions and fleas alike, to survive. Book level 4.8, worth 7 points. Horror at the Haunted House by Peg Kirst. Ellen and Corey Schrader agreed to play roles in a historical society haunted house, not knowing that the creepy old mansion really is haunted. As Joan of Arc, Ellen is tied to a stake each night during Halloween week, while fake flames leap around her ankles. She soon realizes that she is being followed by the ghost of Lydia Clayton, the mansion's first mistress. Why is Ellen the only one who can see the ghost and feel the cold air which surrounds it? Despite her fear, Ellen realizes that the ghost is trying to tell her something. When the ghost follows Ellen home, rousing her in the night with his icy hands and mournful cries, Ellen determines to find out what it wants. This is an AR level of a 5.2, worth 5 points. The Horror on Haunted House. Platypus Police Squad, Never Say Narvel. This book is by Garrett Kruskowska. From the files of Platypus Police Squad, case number 2110. Frank Pandini Jr. is the mayor of Kalamazoo City, and everyone is celebrating, everyone except for Zingo Malley and Cooper, who can't seem to close a single case. To make matters worse, a mysterious hawking shadow has appeared in waters around KC. Could this spell the end for the Platypus Police Squad? This book is a 5.3 reading level worth 4 points. Survival Diaries Lost by Terry Lynn Johnson. Curiosity about the ancient myth leads Carter and Anna into the Costa Rican rainforest, and they quickly find themselves turned around and off path in the steamy green tangle. Lost and alone, Carter and Anna need to use all of their knowledge and grit to survive the jungle on their own. So this book is going to have all kinds of survival tips, and it actually was written by a real-life survival expert. The book is a 4.1 reading level. It's a little lower, and it's worth 2 points, but I thought it might be fun for a quick read. Everything on a Waffle is by Polly Horvath. Just before Melissa, Amanda, and Frank Anderson parents leave for Paris, the babysitter comes down with a mild case of bubonic plague, and they reluctantly call on Mr. Anderson's sister Sally from Canada to watch the nieces and nephew she has never met. Aunt Sally lets the children play with her makeup and jewelry, eats their green beans as well as her own, and regals them with tales of their relatives of growing up in Vancouver Island. An original and entertaining character, Sally always seems larger than life, yet blessedly imperfect and at times haunted by memories. Her tales, like true family stories, vary in tone, exaggeration, and completeness, but they wield their power through their ability to relate to the past to the present. Each story is entertaining on its own, and together they define the tone of this witty, clever, and involving book. Everything on a Waffle. This book is a 5.8 reading level, worth 5 points. The author Lois Duncan wrote Hotel for Dogs, which is also a major movie. So there you are, Andy dropped to her knees on the closet floor. No wonder we couldn't find you. You got yourself hidden under a pile of material. Andy stopped short. Then she caught her breath in a startled gasp. There in the soft bed she had made for for herself was not only the shaggy brown dog, but 3 tiny brown and white puppies. Hotel for Dogs. This book is a 4.7 reading level worth 5 points. Superfly, the world's smartest superhero. Powerful, he'll stop a tornado with a single breath. Strong, he'll push a ship away from a looming iceberg. Brainy, he's read every book in the library twice. Superfly is a 5-point reading level worth 1 point. So it's a quick read. And our last book is How to Train Your Dragon by Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III. Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III was a truly extraordinary Viking hero, warrior, chieftain, awesome sword fighter, and amateur naturalist. He was known throughout Viking Kingdom as the Dragon Whisperer, on account of his power over defying beasts. But it wasn't always like that. A classic, How to Train Your Dragon, is so much fun. So How to Train Your Dragon is a 6.6 reading level worth 5 points. Well, 5th graders, this is your last book talk for this year. I hope you find some that you enjoyed, and we are really hopeful that next fall you can come back to the library and select your own materials. Until then, please make sure that you hopefully will be willing to join our summer reading challenge this summer. It will be available on Beanstack, and you'll be getting more information about that later. And if you have any requests or anything else you might need between now and the end of the school year, have your teacher let me know. Have a great day.